Dear children, war always ravages, and especially those who are occupied. Today we have a story about occupied France and how French is their language which is being suspended from teaching. The story, the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet, is set in France during the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 to 71. The author was a French novelist and he started writing somewhere in 1850s. He belonged to a poor family and he wrote mainly about the poor people. The setting of this story is in Alsace, France, and during the Franco-Prussian War. Prussia has conquered France, and German culture and language is being imposed upon the French people. They realize that language is akin to a key to the world and to the prison, and until and unless they stick to their language, they won't be able to break through this prison. Let's do the summary of the story. It begins with the little boy Franz, who's going to school on a regular day and still fearing the French lesson because he is going to be questioned on the participles. He wants to skip the school like all children, but overcomes the temptation and starts marching towards school. On the way, he sees the Prussian soldiers marching in the field. This shows that Alsace has been occupied by Prussia. There is a rush at the town hall, a crowd, and there is only bad news on the bulletin board, how people have been injured, how people have died and all that. Franz is very disturbed and he goes on hurrying to the school because he thinks that he is late. But on the way, the town blacksmith meets him and he tells him that he should not hurry, there is a lot of time for school. Franz is a bit taken back, but then he goes along. When he reaches the school, he sees that there is a change scenario. The usual hustle and bustle is not there. Everything is still and quiet. The children are sitting in the school classes, and everything is very quiet. When he goes to his class, he notices that his teacher is dressed very formally. All the children are sitting very quietly, and even there are some villagers at the back benches. That is very surprising for Franz, and he is wondering what is happening. Then there is a revelation by Mr. Hamel, the French teacher, that this is the last lesson of French that they are going to have, and French will be suspended from teaching and a new German teacher will be taking his place. Now Franz is very disturbed. He has a grim realization that he has lost his chance to learn the language properly. He has been postponing the learning, and he does not even like Mr. Hamel very much. That is why he doesn't want to attend lessons properly. But now he realizes that his chance is lost and he doesn't want to let go of his books or Mr. Hamel, his teacher. Then he sees that the villagers also there are sitting, and he realizes that it is a sign of repentance on their part that they have not been able to learn the language and give importance to learning. Franz is so mixed up with the emotion that he is unable to recite the rule, and then he expects that he will be scolded. But there is no scolding that day. Mr. Hamel also realizes that the children are innocent and they will be losing their last chance to study. He comments on the human tendency of procrastination, that is, we tend to postpone learning, tend to postpone the things that we need to do, and one day the opportunity is finally lost. Then he also tells the students about the importance of French language for the French people. He says that it is their identity, their national identity, and they should never lose it. And he also says that it is ironic that maximum French people don't learn the French language properly. He then talks about ignorant parents who send the children to work instead of school, and even criticizes himself for sending the children on errands. And then he also again praises the French language, says that it's one of the most loveliest, beautiful languages of the world, and it is the keeper of their culture. They should never lose touch with it, they should stick by it. And then he hands new notebooks to the children on which is written France Alsace. All children work with rare attention that they have on the notebooks. Even the sounds of the beetles and the outside things are not able to disturb them. And meanwhile, Franz reminisces how Mr. Hamel has been teaching there for 40 years and in the same school, in the same garden, and he realizes how dedicated his teacher is. Mr. Hamel is almost tearful, he's crying, and then he listens to the Prussian soldiers marching to the school and prepares to leave, and in the end writes Viva la France on the blackboard. Viva la France means long live France, and dismisses the school with a gesture. This is a very poignant story. All of them realize that this is their last lesson and they won't be able to read and learn their beloved language. This story sets upon the themes of linguistic chauvinism, that is, one culture believes that their language is better than the other languages, and when it occupies the territory, it imposes its language and culture on it. So the Germans are imposing the language on the French people and trying to rob them of their identity. Every language, every mother tongue leads us to our identity as a nationalist. There is also a reference to the tendency of humans to postpone learning. That is, we keep postponing things, we keep postponing learning, and then we don't realize that one day we might only lose the chance ever to learn it. The mother tongue and its importance is also highlighted.